And I am joined by Dr. Sasha and Zach to talk on the topic of medical marijuana. I mean, do you think it's the right thing to do?
Absolutely. Here's why, because a lot of people can benefit from it, and they already have. There's medical evidence stating that from clinical research from Harvard that it has helped out people throughout the ages. And oftentimes, this was actually a medical substance that was long ago used, but was banned.
Now, have you found through your study that this marijuana could have a side effect also? You say it's not addictive. Maybe let's take it's not addictive, but what about side effects?
The side effect is happiness.
Well, I mean, you're inducing something to be happy. Why can't you be happy just by being?
Well, the thing is, if you're sick, you're not, let's say if you have cancer, you won't be able to live life or sleep well in a happy manner. Once you take medical marijuana, you're sleeping, you're eating, and you're able to live a more functional life, which leads to happiness. So there's
I can't accept that spin.
That's Sasha.
BS.
I was coming to you. He thinks people get happy by having marijuana. I mean, what is your point against that happiness?
Well, first of all, it is addictive because it's operating in the pleasure principle of, there are studies that show that it's like any other drug. It activates certain receptors in your brain. So, coffee, alcohol, marijuana, all these things, they make you happy, and people keep wanting it.
What is your point against that happiness?
Well, first of all, it is addictive because it's operating in the pleasure principle of, there are studies that show that it's like any other drug. It activates certain receptors in your brain. So, coffee, alcohol, marijuana, all these things, they make you happy, and people keep wanting it. So
now, let's dig deep into the real issue. I think we are more worried about the younger generation because the older generation, their frontal lobe is grown, so they probably have a better decision when it comes to stopping it. But the younger generation, I mean, kids from the age of 15 to high school kids, 21, those kids have no frontal lobe. They cannot see beyond that happiness that they're using the marijuana for. What do you have to do to that kind of a person who is getting marijuana very easily through a pharmacy?
And that's the problem that we face today right now. We're in this country because the trend is slowly headed towards more of a legal situation, and people they're not considering the children, like you said. I mean, you can be 18 and get a medical card now, but the brain's still
and you
developing.
don't even have to take your parent to the doctor.
Did you know that when someone smokes, it creates synapses that burst through the brain that helps them connect the dots to life a little bit better?
That's all the teenagers' problem, that I can study better if I have a little
And
drag.
they actually do.
Oh, well, then if, on that note, I think we can become more productive if we tried a little bit of marijuana every day, right?
Oh no, I mean, there are so many alternatives out there. You're better off taking vitamins than I mean, he's the president of the California Medical Marijuana Association, so of course he's going to promote it. But my concern is just for really the young people. I mean, adults, like I said,
My point is for the young people, though.
they have they have the right to put whatever they want in their bodies. But as adults,
But it's safe.
it's our responsibility to to regulate that.
Now, do you think young people have reached that stage to be able to take the right decision, and how much, how often?
Well, see, the whole thing about that is it's about marijuana is experimental. So you can't gauge it unless you know what works out for you. Sometimes sativa is the best. It's going to make you more energized. It'll get rid of the
I don't think
feeling.
any parent would be okay with their child as being an experiment.
Yeah, right. And I don't know what is right, what is wrong.
Well, it's not heroin, so that like straight lining.
Well, I mean, it can graduate. So if you're then not getting happy because your body gets used to marijuana, you're not anymore happy with marijuana. You want to migrate to different things. And since you've already done the experiment, nothing can go wrong. It can only get better. So I'm not for it or against it. If it does have medical value, then maybe one should have it. But unless you prove it, like Sasha says, there's no proof yet that it does have a remedy factor to some chronic
Actually, I
diseases.
totally disagree with that. There's a lot of medical proof
And,
that
and
states
all the
that.
presidents of the marijuana board has found these studies to be true. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned a little bit as to whether it is something you should go for or not go for, or tell your people around not to, or to go for it. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.